Coast and Adam Simpson in the last couple of hours have parted ways. It's a great pleasure that my co-host is not only one of the best trade men in the business, he's the number one newsman in the business. Hello, Mitchell. Big day.
Hello, Samuel. Big day. Just watched the press conference a few moments ago with Adam Simpson, Paul Fitzpatrick, the chair, and Don Pike, the CEO. Bit to take out of it, half an hour. They still don't know if he's coaching this week or not.
So I want to move junk chat to the back end of the show out of respect for what is a pretty serious day in football. And West Coast have dominated many of our episodes here in the first season and three quarters, given where their list is at. I want to do a bit of a deep dive sort of in a left field kind of way. But before that, how do they not know if Adam Simpson is coaching or not this week? That is emblematic of the disorganisation of this football club over the last 2 to 3 years, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you can come to a decision. What they said was last night, but was finalised this morning. Adam Simpson will be paid out for the final year of his contract in 25. You tick off all those things and you walk into the press conference and it felt like they're on different pages as to whether he'd coach or not this week. Now, they'll have an interim put in the next day or so for the rest of the season, whether it be Jared Schofield or Matthew Knights, the former Essendon coach. But we still don't know if Simo's going to coach this week or not.
I mean, you laugh, but it's almost like if you don't laugh, you cry.
Yeah.
If I'm a West Coast fan, I'd be livid watching that press conference. Don Pike has been around in football for long enough to know this sort of stuff. He's been in that position.
He sat in Adam Simpson's chair.
Yeah, it's not an easy chair to sit in. I can imagine the stress that goes with being a senior coach would be astronomical. But guys, make the decision, sit there and work it out. If the media manager comes up to you and goes, we've got the press conference in half an hour, well, okay, push the press conference back an hour. The media aren't going to go anywhere. Let's lock ourselves in a room, have a coffee, have a beer, open a bottle of Grange if you want, but just figure it out because your football fans deserve to know. It might sound like a small thing, but the small things matter. And I just can't fathom that they went into that press conference after Adam Simpson's given blood, sweat and tears for that joint and they don't know whether he's coaching this week. Before
we get into the list implications and everything that will flow on from the decision, are you pro or anti him coaching this week?
It's a great question. I'm not perturbed either way. I think it should be Adam's decision, personally. I'd be a no farewell game guy.
Yeah.
You?
I think at home, if it is as mutual as they say it is, I think you got one game to farewell the fans.
Really?
It might just give them that last little kick.
Who are they playing this week?
They play Brisbane on Sunday. It's the last game of the round, 18. They're going to go in heavy outsiders in that game.
You don't want your farewell game to get done by 70 points, do you?
It might give them that last little kick. He had his last game. They lost on the road. It's a chance for them to farewell a premiership coach.
Can I ask you a question before we get into the list stuff? Why now? Why not get through the rest of the season?
I think it gives them time to get into the market for the next coach.
Okay, I accept that.
It gives a chance for the list. I think what's happened is Adam Simpson had wedded himself so hard to that core of 2018 flag players and the senior guys that the pledge they made at the end of last year that this was going to be a rebuild and they're going to continue to see the next wave come through hasn't happened. Now on the weekend, Melbourne was half a year on average older than West Coast in that game at the MCG. The Eagles had 13 AFL listed players playing their waffle team. And the fact that they were older than the Demons at AFL level, why are we not seeing some of these young guys come through? I think it's come to the point where everyone knows that Adam Simpson is so aligned with those senior guys. It's time for the last 6 or 7 weeks to see what the next wave can do and give them a head start on 2025.
So I want to take you back to June 2019, so just over 5 years ago. Carlton are beaten by 41 points at the hand of Essendon. Brendan Bolton sacked.
Mm-hmm.
He and manager Tom Petruccio go to the house of Mark Lejudice that morning to try to talk the club out of it and give him the rest of the year because he believes that the club is building towards something special. And although the losses are mounting up, they've got the core of what will be ultimately a successful team. They don't. They have the press conference. Were you there, Mitch?
I was there, yeah.
Well, we would have been part of the same contingent.
Yep.
We're outside a lot of the day because we were waiting to see if we could see either Tom Petruccio, Brendan Bolton or Mark Lejudice come in or out.
Kane Little driving in.
Because you know that open car park, if you've been to Icon Park off Royal Parade, it's difficult to hide. And even if you want to go in through the back door, it's so open with the park on either side. And I ended up sitting with Pete Ryan, who at that stage would have been working with you, I reckon, at AFL.com.
I reckon I'd just taken his job at AFL.com.
Okay, well, it's an awkward byplay that I've just run into.
That Pete removed himself on his accord, by the way. It's not me.
Didn't we poach him at the age?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
You poached him. I then went from Croc Media, SEN, to take Pete's job.
Okay, there's a nuts and bolts in that. We'll get to that at a later time. And
future first rounders involved.
It's felt like just swap of late picks. I'm sitting in the Carlton Cafe and I'm on my computer and on Twitter, it might have even been you who tweeted this. I don't know. It was you or Tom Morris or someone else, a younger guy, tweeted David Teague will take over as interim coach. This is before the Brendan Bolton press conference. David Teague will coach Carlton this week.
Yeah.
And this figure behind me, I didn't see him come up, just goes, geez, it's news to me. And I turn around, it's David Teague.
Yeah, right.
And he's like, I haven't been told if I'm coaching, so someone's leaked something that I don't know, which was interesting. Anyway, the reason I bring up...
The Teague train took off in the back end of that year
didn't
and he got
last
the
that long.
full-time job.
The Brendan Bolton and what happened in June 2019, the team that got beaten by Essendon by the best part of 7 goals that day, in that team were Cripps, Curnow, Cunningham, Dow, Fisher, Kennedy, Mackay, Petrevsky-Seaton, Silvani, Stocker, Walsh, Wietering. 10 of those names are first-round picks.
And a large core of them could play in a prelim or a flag this year.
2 of them pick 1.
Mm-hmm.
Mackay could have gone pick 1 if he was a slightly different age. Curnow probably should have gone pick 1. And Cripps may be the best player in his draft. Like, that is the core of a team moving forward, okay?
Oh, so this is... Now we go to West Coast from the weekend is gone.
The team that lost to Melbourne on the weekend, I wonder how many first-round picks they had. Chesser was pick 14.
Injury-riddled start to his time.
At 11 disposals on the weekend.
Starting to get run at it now, yeah.
Jamie Cripps was a first-round pick at St Kilda. He's now 32.
Mm-hmm.
Darling was a priority pick in the mid-20s, so not even a first-rounder. Duggan, captain pick 11, who I know you want to talk about a little bit later. Ginbey was pick 9, had 14 disposals. Reid, pick 1, and you can see on my notepad there, 3 big ticks for Reid. Reid at pick 1.
Tick, tick, tick.
Tick, tick, tick. Not
Your
a lot
boy.
of other ticks. And Elliot Yeo was an end of first-round pick to Brisbane.
Yep.
So they had 6 first-round picks compared to Carlton's 10, right? Play on the weekend. 2 of those are over the age of 30. And another 2, we don't really know if Chesser and Ginbey are going to end up being good players. Like, Carlton had a raft of picks and some of them didn't work out. Dow didn't work out. O'Brien wasn't playing that day. He didn't work out. Petrevsky-Seaton ended up going to West Coast, ironically. He hasn't worked out. You're going to miss with some. Like, North Melbourne have missed with quite a few. They missed with Phillips. They should have taken McDonald. They missed with Horne-Francis. He's playing somewhere else. They missed with Reid. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily they missed with Horne-Francis.
well, they stuffed it up, however you want to pick
They
it.
got
Put it.
the Sheasel Wardlaw as a result. But anyway, that's time. Another time.
I'd take Horne-Francis.
Sheasel looks good.
Sheasel looks good. So it's really 2. They've got Duggan, who's their captain, who's halfway through his career, and they've got Harley Reid, who's the second coming of Dustin Martin. So there's frustration with me, and we started this podcast, the first episode we ever did, is that everything in footy ultimately comes back to your list build. Because in order to win a flag,
Yep.
you have to build a list.
It's the premise of this show.
It's the whole premise of why you and I got together and started doing this.
Yeah.
They have left Adam Simpson out in Bass Strait drowning for the last 2.5 years.
How much of that was Adam Simpson's? We'll never know.
I'm not saying it's entirely the club's fault. Adam, I'm sure himself privately would take on a chunk of the responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
But Mitch, this isn't a list where you can go like Carlton, all right, Brendan Bolton hasn't worked out, but geez, whoever we get in the chair next, we're moving forward. They're going backwards. Whoever takes this job, it's going to get harder before it gets easier.
And like we said at the start of this season, there's a strong chance this West Coast team still hasn't bottomed out yet. Like,
Well, that's the whole premise of my...
It hasn't got. It's still going to get worse. Because I look at their side that played on the weekend. The 25 and unders, you got Oscar Allen, who's a captain of the footy club and a future star, but has had his issues with his body.
And was a great pick in the second round.
Yep. Then you got Witherden, who is very fringe right now.
No.
Jermaine Jones,
No.
Bailey Williams,
No.
Jack Hutchinson, who they took as a mid-season. Tyler Brockman has upside, but hasn't hit his ceiling this year. Chesser, who you mentioned, Brady Hoff, Jack Williams, Jinby and Reed. So the 25 and unders just aren't there for the Eagles right now. That's why they need to go to the draft heavy in the next couple of years.
So outside of Harley Reid, is there a player there that young West Coast fans are saying when they wake up on a Saturday morning to mum and dad who are about to take them to the footy, geez, I can't wait to see this person play?
Ruben Jinby.
Are they?
I think he's going to be a long-term strong midfielder for that footy club. I don't think he's bum on the seat sort of stuff.
No, he's not bum on the seat. When Stephen Silvani took over as list manager at Carlton, they had Patrick Cripps there, who was bum on seat. He said, we need to get five more of those. Need to get 5 more of them. They've done it right.
Yeah.
But it's taken them ages. So Carlton in 2019 had those players I talked about. We're 5 years later, Mitch. They still haven't won one. They might not win one. It's hard getting up there.
Yeah. And
what have West Coast been doing for the last 2.5 years to build this list, to help Adam Simpson, to help their next coach? What have they been doing?
No, and that's where you and I have spoken at length. Darling's still on the list. Cripps, they could have gone to market. He's a WA guy, so probably not. But
should have traded Yo.
Could they have got something for Yo?
You reported you were the first one with the exclusive last year about what they could have got for Brass.
Yeah.
What was it, top 10 pick and a first rounder?
Yeah.
I mean, how good...
Sydney were going to go throw the kitchen sink at him, and they thought they had him this time last year.
So Harley Reid, who will be watching that press conference today, I don't know if the players were there watching.
Were there, yeah.
Okay, so Harley Reid could be standing with another top 10 pick and another first rounder going, okay, boys, well, at least we're here together for the next 2.5 years, absolutely together the next 2.5 years. But instead, he sort of won out.
Yep. And the other one...
A lot of pressure for an 18-year-old.
Can't forget is they sold the farm for Tim Kelly, who turns 30 in 2 weeks' time.
Hasn't aged well.
They won a flag. They went and did that. They thought they were in a window to go again. Hasn't aged well in time. At the time, you sort of think, a bit like the Gibbs one, is it helping you to win a flag in the next couple of years? But yeah, there's a couple of first rounders there that they could have had at that 22, 23 years of age bracket right now had they have not done the Tim Kelly deal.